All right, it's 8:30, and we are at the Finance and Fiscal Resources Committee, Tuesday, March 21, so 8:30 a.m. And our first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to comment? You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address.
How you doing, everybody? My name is DeAndre Jones. I stay at 967 Tamarack Avenue, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Northwest. Yep. How you doing, everybody? My name is DeAndre Jones. I stay at 967 Tamarack Avenue, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Northwest, 49504. I'm here to speak to you guys because I want to first thank the Sheriff's Department for giving me a $250 donation to the Jump Ahead Esports competition, as I've been working hard and advocating for change, advocating for better police and community relations, advocating to build some sense of trust and finding innovative, creative ways to bring our community together. I've spent a lot of time in the King County Juvenile. I know a lot of my friends that grew up went to the King County Jail, and a lot of people still go to the King County Jail. And so hopefully I can engage the community, the black community, the African American community I have. I will, in different ethnicities, different people of color and white people, and hopefully we can build a better sense of trust so then we can actually engage with the King County Sheriffs, because I haven't actually known them to come to the south side of GR and actually engage in the community for real, unless there's like an event maybe at King Park. So it's cool to actually get the Sheriff's Department involved. I really thank you guys, because I really care about the community and creating a better sense of trust. Also, I went to Davenport University because Davenport has an esports team, and I want to let you guys know that the competition I'm doing is on NBA 2K, and the Davenport's head coach told me that he's willing to recruit students to play NBA 2K because there are other colleges around the state that actually recruit kids for NBA 2K, and that's something that my competition brings. So imagine what we can do. Also, it's a guy who works for Adidas, the head lead for Adidas. He actually connected with me because he's tried to get the Grand Rapids Gold to get involved in esports. But I have the Grand Rapids Gold coming to my event for 3 hours, 11 to 2 p.m. The Grand Rapids Gold will be at my event. So I'm getting the best of the best, as I know I'm one of the best entrepreneurs. Obviously, I'm consistent and I show up. And I just want to let you guys know that I'm creating opportunities in the true pipeline to reduce the kids that can go in the criminal justice system and increase the opportunities for kids to be able to go to college and get a full ride scholarship or a partial scholarship or whatever that Davenport will offer. But that is not the only college. But I'll start where I can go, any college that offers me an opportunity, and I'll build from that capacity. And so kids can, whether they want to study gaming or they just have a general subject that they want to study in college. Esports is an outlet just like traditional sports, any other sport. It's just video games as a sport, and it's cool, it's innovative. I also got to connect with the American Cancer Society, and they want to work with me to do some fundraising for people that have cancer. So I look forward to keep working hard, and thank you, you guys.
Perfect. Thanks, DeAndre. You know, my boys love NBA 2K as well, so maybe I'll have to send them your way. Is there any other public comment? All right, seeing none, our next item is the consent agenda. Could I have a motion to approve items A, B, and C on the consent agenda?
Motion.
So moved. There's support. All right. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Next item comes from the Parks Department. It's the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund grant submission for Cannonsburg Recreation Area land acquisition.
Oops. Let me get back to the action.
Is there a presentation or anything on this?
We have people here to answer questions, so I just have to get back to my action request. Okay. Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve submission of a grant application to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund to purchase approximately 160 acres surrounding the Cannonsburg Recreation Area and to commit to acquiring the local match if awarded. Summary of requests. The natural areas surrounding the Cannonsburg Recreation Area in Cannon Township is used by the community as a Four Seasons park, as it is a recreational destination for mountain biking enthusiasts, hikers, runners, birders, and others. The property is strategically located in proximity to other county assets, including Townsend Park, Pickerel Lake Park, and the new James and Shirley Balk Family Park. The southern portion of the property also connects into the Michigan Department of Natural Resources State Game Area. Acquiring the land is estimated to cost $3.2 million. The final purchase price will be determined using the Department of Natural Resources appraisal process as required by the grant. The Parks Department seeks approval to submit a grant request to the MNRTF to fund $2,240,000, 70% of the land purchase price. The remaining $960,000, or 30%, is expected to come from the county, local agencies, community groups, and/or philanthropy. It is anticipated that the county will be notified in December 2023 if the application is successful, if the grant is approved, an action request to accept the grant, appropriate the grant, and required matching funds, and authorize the purchase will be brought to the committee and Board of Commissioners. If awarded, funds would need to be expended within 2 years.
Thanks, Al. Is there a motion for this item? Moved by Commissioner Antor. Is there support? Support. Support by Commissioner Wooden. Okay, perfect. All right, so are there questions or comments on this item? Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Chair. Just to be clear, this is the first step in a process. We're applying for the potential grant. We're not committing any funds or anything like that at this time. We can see how we do on the
Correct.
application, and
Yes.
then we can kind of dissect it a little bit further, get into the weeds a little bit.
Right, this is an application that, if we're successful, would be awarded next year in April. So yes, it would take a year for this to actually come to fruition. And this is for the area surrounding the ski hill, not for the ski hill, although we're keeping that option open and studying that further.
So we'll have plenty of time to talk about what this is going to look like, what the end game is.
Yes,
We're just applying for a potential grant here.
right, we need to meet a deadline to get in the hopper.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Chair. So this is great that we're potentially going to have the opportunity to cover the cost, a large portion of the cost, 70% of this, through this grant that may be approved. I just wanted to know, what is the backup plan if this is not funded? How would this, the cost of this acquisition be covered?
Well, I think if it isn't, I mean, we're back to ground zero. I mean, I think at that point, we'd need to put together a coalition of nonprofits, including foundations, conservancies, and others. I mean, as far as our county funding goes, we're not going to magically come up with, that much money to simply go buy it, in my opinion.
Okay, and I guess in follow-up to that, then, what happens to the offer for us to buy this if this doesn't go through and we don't get the funding to support it?
This process is unique because we can't negotiate with the landowner until we know we have the grant. So we haven't really negotiated a price or established a price. We would actually have to do the appraisals after notification of the grant award. So there isn't like a deal we'd be welching on, although there have been enough discussions with the property owner to know that he's passionate about keeping this land for public use long into the future.
Commissioner Wooden.
Before I start, sorry, I did want to make, okay. I was just going to comment, I will admit, when this was first presented to us a year ago, I scratched my head a lot about this. Nothing against ski hills, but not necessarily in the scope of government that I had imagined. But from a conservation standpoint, I think it makes a ton of sense, especially given the fact that we are acquiring the land around the ski hill. We don't yet know the future of our relationship to the ski hill, but I see this as our opportunity to make sure that whatever happens there, its use is preserved. And so I absolutely see this as a vital green space conservation effort, fully support it, and yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Any other, Commissioner Oliver King.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarification, is the owner still pursuing possible offers from others, or is he waiting to find out, he or she waiting to find out whether or not the county gets the grant?
I can't answer that for sure, but my belief is that the owner's committed to keeping this in the public sphere as far as use goes, and has fielded offers in the past and not accepted those, so I don't believe so, but I really couldn't answer that fully.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Coleman?
I don't know if we know yet, but of the 30% that wouldn't come from the trust fund grant, do we have a goal of like what the mix is, county versus locals versus philanthropic?
Typically, my goal always starts out as OPM, other people's money. But we'll see. I mean, I think at least half and half would be the goal, and if we can do better than that, then great.
All right. Questions, comments? Commissioner Green?
Thank you. I just had, excuse me, one question. I was looking at this last night and noticed there is a piece of property a parcel that appears to be owned by a third party, not the ski hill and not the ski hill, to connect to 5 Mile Road. And I just wanted to just get a little bit of line of sight on how that kind of plays in. We've got, the county and in Cannonsburg, and I just was curious. It looks like it would be a good point of access from the southern end of the property, but I wasn't sure how that discussion had gone.
I think we'll have Dan field that one.
We have Dan DeLu from the Parks Department.
Morning.
So that that parcel you're talking about is owned by the owner of Cannonsburg. It's personal property.
Thanks. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. All right, next item on the agenda comes from the Treasurer's Office. It's the delinquent 2022 real property taxes, authorized issuance of general obligation limited tax notes, Series 2023.
Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to establish the County Delinquent Tax Revolving Fund -2023 collection account, and that's for the calendar 2022 delinquent real property taxes, and to authorize the sale of general obligation limited tax notes, Series 2023, in an amount not to exceed $25 million. Summary of request. The Board of Commissioners annually approves the establishment of a Kent County Tax Revolving Fund collection account pursuant to the provisions of PA 206 of 1893 as amended. The county has annually issued tax notes to pay local governments and itself for delinquent real property taxes since 1973. Last year, the county issued $12.7 million in Series 2022 tax notes for the delinquent 2021 real property taxes. The note proceeds are utilized by the county treasurer to purchase the right to all delinquent 2022 real property taxes that are due to any governmental unit levying taxes. The county treasurer will assess an administrative fee of 4% to cover any costs associated with this activity and an interest rate up to 1.5% to the delinquent taxes.
All right, thanks. Is there a motion?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Oliver King, support by Commissioner Wooden. Questions or comments? All right, you guys are quiet. Seeing none. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda comes from Fiscal Services, and it's additional 911 service charge or surcharge appropriation.
Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to appropriate an additional $470,340 in 911 surcharge revenues to the 2022 Central Dispatch Collection Fund budget. Summary of request. The county levies a surcharge on telecommunication devices for 911 dispatch services, which is collected by telecommunications carriers. Kent County voters approved increasing the 911 surcharge fee from 45 cents per line to $1.15 per line beginning on July 1, 2017. Upon analysis of funds received for E911 surcharges in February of 2023 relating to October through December of 2022, it was noted that receipts exceeded projected revenue for the 2022 year. An additional appropriation of $470,340 is required to provide adequate budget to allow distribution to the Kent County Dispatch Authority.
All right, is there a motion for this item? Motion. Moved by Commissioner Sparks, support, who supported it? Commissioner Green, perfect. Questions or comments? Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Chair. I guess this is my annual question about telecommunications companies, and are they cooperating? How do we know that they're doing what they say they're going to do? That's always been a question that we've had. I'm not sure if we ever got that answer, or if there's a process in place that would allow us to know fully if they're complying. So just wondering where we're at.
We've looked into that in years past, where we found there was an obvious hole in our revenues compared to usage. And what I've been told is that that particular company did in fact write us a nice big check to deal with that. And everything right now shows what we anticipate would be full compliance. There is no way to audit under the state law, but we don't have anything that indicates to us in the financials that we're missing. You know, we have a vendor that's just completely shirking their responsibilities.
Was it the FCC, do they have any part in this as far as monitoring those companies along these lines?
Not that I'm aware of on this, because this is under state law, and the state law specifically does not give us the authority to audit.
We're going to continue to trust.
Well, we
try to
continue to
verify.
monitor and make, the same way we do with anybody else that owes us money under different surcharges. So,
The only reason I always bring it up is because they were famous for, in past practices where they were cramming bills and jamming bills. They had all kinds of terms for adding little nickels and dimes here and there to, for no apparent reason, to raise money. So I appreciate the process.
Any other questions? Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. If staff could elaborate a little bit that if we don't have the ability to audit, what is the monitoring or the kind of vetting that you alluded to? Is it, if you could share a little bit about that process.
well, we've had different staff over the years involved with it, and it's a question of trying to look at how many phones we know are out there versus how much money is coming in, and then trying to differentiate all the different vendors, because there are so many. There's the big ones that you see on TV all the time, and then there's a whole bunch of small ones underneath. So what caught our eye originally was one of the big vendors was not showing receipts. And when we went to them and wrote the appropriate demand letters back, we got the corporate, oops, we forgot, we'll be good going forward, and they have. We've been seeing those checks come in. So I know Jeff and his team watch those funds coming in, but there is, unfortunately, the state has just not given us the power to demand an audit the way the treasurer audits our hotels and things like that.
Yeah, just very plainly then, how do we know how many cell phones there are? What data do we use to figure that out?
I'd have to get back to you on exactly the source of that,
Okay.
but I can get you a breakdown of how we've looked at it in the past.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner McLeod.
So I guess in follow-up, thank you, Chair. So in follow-up to that, I would ask, so you said there's obviously the big vendors that we know about. Do we have a sense of how the number of the smaller vendors and a sense of how many cell phones, are within that? I'm just trying to get an understanding of, like, if we can't audit, is there an annual process that we go through to connect with these vendors to get them to at least confirm or deny that, that what they're sending us might be right or it might be wrong? Like, how do we do something annually to reach out to the vendors?
Why don't I do this? Why don't I get all the information, write a memo for Al and the board? Because a lot of that does not come through my office, and I don't want to misspeak this morning, but I can get you a summary of what is done on a regular basis and how that is monitored.
That'd be great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Next item, item 6, comes from Fiscal Services, and it's the 2022 Strategic Capital CIP Project Budget Amendment.
Action requested, recommend to the Board of Commissioners to appropriate up to $2 million to the 2022 Strategic Capital Project in the Capital Improvement Fund, or the CIP Fund. The Strategic Capital CIP Project was established in 2015 to set aside funding for future capital needs and to reduce the size of debt associated with large capital projects. Any use of the strategic capital funding must be appropriated by the board before it can be spent. Funding is available in the 2022 general fund budget due to budget lapse. It is recommended that up to $2 million be appropriated to the 2022 Strategic Capital Project in the CIP fund from the 2022 general fund budget. The current balance of the Strategic Capital CIP is $22.4 million.
All right, thanks, Sal. Is there a motion for this item? Moved by Commissioner Kallman. Is there support? Support by Commissioner Hildenbrand. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Kallman.
I'm just curious, so the 2 million is from 2022 budget lapse. Is this just a general, like, sweeping across accounts of the lapse?
Yes.
Or is it, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Wooden.
Just to kind of confirm in other terms, does this represent 100% of the budget lapse we have, or is there other budget lapse that we're not putting into strategic capital?
And that I will ask Jeff to address.
Jeff Dode from Fiscal Services.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay. So no, we try to maintain a positive surplus each year because as our fund balance grows, or as our, our 40% of the fund balance, so I think there's roughly 2.1 million in that range left after this transfer.
Jeff, while you're up here, could you maybe talk about some of the things that we have funded through strategic capital?
Sure. So the three big projects that you can see are the North County campus, the parks facility, and the fleet garage. Those are one's complete parks. The other two are under construction. So those are all paid for out of strategic capital. Those are the three big ones I can count, and those had additional costs as well that we took additional dollars from strategic as well. So those were the three big ones, and then we continued to build it for future stuff. So.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions? Did you have a question, Commissioner McLeod? No. No? I could see you pondering something. All right. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Next item is miscellaneous, and did you have any
I do.
miscellaneous?
I would like to introduce Regina McMillan, who's a new board liaison, so you'll be seeing a lot of communication from Regina in the future as well, so.
Welcome, Regina. I hope you feel comfortable here, and, I'm sure you'll do a great job in getting to know our board and all of our little personalities that we might have, or big. So, yeah, anytime. We're always open for questions, or if you don't know, we'll give you some direction too. So thank you for joining us. Any other Commissioner miscellaneous? Commissioner Hildebrand.
I just wondered if somebody could give a quick update on the recycling center situation that occurred yesterday?
Yes, so we did have a structural engineer go last night, and so they did determine that they do need a crane out there to support the roof while they complete the evaluation. And so we hope to get more word today. We expect the plant will be down at least, we're not sure yet whether the plant can continue to operate with the damage that's been done. So that'll be another determination that's made today. Our director, Dar, has reassigned staff to other facilities to work if they can't do the job in that facility, so.
It's definitely a dangerous business in the trash world, so they're getting it looked at, and so they can hopefully move forward soon and get that taken care of. Any other Commissioner miscellaneous? Commissioner Antor.
I was just kind of curious about that. Will we continue to collect outside of that area? Is that going to slow the collection process?
I'm not sure, but I do know we haven't been working Saturdays because we haven't had enough material, so I think, and we have had backlogs in the past, so I'm not sure at what point they would divert the trash somewhere else, but I think at least as far as we know today, we'll be able to keep collecting and have the trash handled or processed through that center.
If it looks like it's going to take longer and it might start back things up, then we'll get notice out to people.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dar's in constant contact with the haulers, and yes, he will manage that.
Good question. All right, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Our next meeting will be April 18 at 8:30 a.m. Have a wonderful day.